automatically be learnt by those who begin to recite the Holy Quran, who want to recite and understand the Holy Quran. Yet, it is not learning the entire language. There are so many people, hundreds of thousands of people who understand the Holy Quran, but cannot speak Arabic, cannot understand the modern spoken Arabic. So at occasions there are two different things. Arabic as such is a very wide language, and also the Arabic of old is different and Arabic of the modern age is different. So what is relevant in your question is just this part, that those who become Muslim or will become Muslim, will they not be compelled to know more about the Arabic, so that at least they are capable of understanding the Holy Quran and the traditions? If this is the question, my answer is yes, of course it's necessary. Now please, Khalid Sahib, you can come. We'll give him some respect before he begins his larger questions.
As I said, I was next to
yes,
in the olden days, people from Dir or Chitral, or even from the Khyber Pass, they became anti. So they were very far from places.
Yes. They have very rigid attitude and the much higher standard of intolerance.
Something that
it is very strange.
Something impossible had happened and may not happen again.
The answer to the first part of the question, as you have already suggested, has been dealt by me earlier in these sessions held here. But still I should like to opine on this. One aspect which I missed to mention last time was this, that initially Ahmadiyyat spread in the northwest province as the fulfillment of a promise made to Hazrat Masih Maud by Allah. Yansuruka rijalun nuhi ilahim min as-samai. Such people would come to your aid as Allah would speak directly to them and order them to assist you. Allah will show His revelation to them, and through guidance from Allah they would come to your assistance. In many cases in Northwest Province, pious people and very holy people who had very strong influences in the society were known to be the very cream of the piety of that region. They received messages in dreams or through ilham, that is verbal message from Allah, or through visions, and they were surprised. In some cases they had absolutely no knowledge, no idea that there was such a place as Qadian and somebody had appeared there claiming to be the Mahdi and so on, and they were told. That happened all over India, but in more concentrated form in the northwest and in the Punjab. The difference between the Punjab and the northwest was that in the Punjab there was also stronger literal contact. It was, as you see, Qadian was accessible to everybody. They heard more of him. And the books of Hazrat Masih Maud were also spread far and wide. So that was one way of conveyance, one media of conveyance of Hazrat Masih Maud's message and their acceptance. And of course, under the influence of these holy people, their followers became Ahmadis. Secondly, in those days, there were big battles fought between Islam and Christianity, and the mullahs of the time failed to deliver the goods on the part of Islam, and they could not truly satisfy the Muslim gentry or laity that they were truly pleading the cause of Islam as it should be pleaded. So they were restless and they loved Islam, but they didn't find any true champion among themselves. And they began to hear that in Qadian there was someone he was championing the cause of Islam so wonderfully that he put the Christians to flight. So that became a source of the popularity of Hazrat Masih Maud Islam's message, and many an Ahmadi I know accepted Ahmadiyyat just because of this. The initial cause of interest was created because of Hazrat Masih Maud Islam championing the cause of Islam against Christianity. And thirdly, the influence of one single holy person, that is Hazrat Sahibzada Abdul Latif Shaheed, was worked like magic in certain parts. For instance, in the regions of Bannu and Kohar, particularly Bannu and Dera Ismail Khan, a very great number of Khawaneen and Mullahs of the time were followers of Hazrat Sahibzada Abdul Latif Shaheed, and they were deeply influenced by his piety and his great name. So when he accepted Ahmadiyyat, not only this, he offered his own life as a truth, as a proof of his truth and sincerity. That shook the whole region where his following was found. When I traveled that belt along the frontier, around the northwestern province and Afghanistan, in between the two, I was surprised to hear my companion who belonged to that region telling me at every corner, every place, that this is the village where there was Ahmadiyyat, and this was the village where there was Ahmadiyyat, and that was the village. And some villages also had the same name, and still you could see the nameplate, Ahmadiyya Bara or Ahmadiyya or something. And it was so depressing, although it was so pleasing in one way, but also so depressing to realize that Ahmadiyyat came like lightning in those regions once, and then it faded out. Why? That was a big question. So they organized a meeting with non-Ahmadi gentry of that region once in Dera Ismail Khan, and many people belonging to noble families of that area, the families Worth and Song, were gathered there to ask me questions. That was about 5 years ago, I think, or 4 years ago. And when I started speaking on Ahmadiyyat, and the whole intelligentsia, like lawyers, doctors, surgeons and things, they were all there, professors. Suddenly, they began to thaw. That cold attitude began to warm up ultimately, and I felt a very strong inclination towards Ahmadiyyat, and in some cases, very prominent feeling of love. And then some of them started speaking of it openly. And I was surprised to find that almost everyone present started speaking of his past experiences of their family. And some said, yes, even today we hold the books of Hazrat Masih Maud Islam in our libraries at home. Although we respect those books, but we don't disclose the fact because we are afraid of the public pressure, of public opinion and the pressure of the mullahs. And then they openly started telling me of things. So I made further inquiries why ultimately they lost contact with Ahmadiyyat. So many factors emerged, which I have discussed earlier. One, for instance, in so many cases, unfortunately, the wives were not Ahmadis. And smaller mullahs who served these Khawaneen, they were not so pious, so they followed the common sentiment of the masses, which of course were not converted as masses. Only the big knowledgeable people who were followers of Sahibzada Sahib, they accepted, and who had the courage also to accept in those conditions, who had their own system of security. A commoner did not do that at that time even. So they came into league with their non-Ahmadi mothers and started influencing the children of these Khawaneen and big people in a manner that they sabotaged the cause of Ahmadiyyat, and they filled their hearts right from the childhood with